What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome in to CHGO Bulls Postgame. Coming to you live from our studio here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck. You can follow me, Bulls_Peck on Twitter. Our pal and producer sitting in for Joe.
I know,
it's
I'm
Sarah.
already messing up. I'm so sorry.
Hey, the people need to see you.
Yeah.
Rocking a beautiful hat. And sitting in for our guy, Big Dave, tonight, it is our old pal, Kyle Williams.
Yes, sir.
You can follow him on Twitter, K_Williams Media. So many wonderful things I could say to introduce you to those who aren't familiar. Recent grad of Medill Journalism School, covering all kinds of sports for the Chicago Sun-Times currently, and doing some production work for The Ringer, and a specific Chicago-centric podcast on The Ringer Network with our pal Jason Goff.
Yeah, the Full Go with Jason Goff. Great guy.
Crushing
it.
Yeah. Crushing it. Kyle Williams, everybody.
I'm trying.
It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you, too. Talk about the Bulls.
Slumming it with us, talking some Bulls basketball. You're out in Arizona for spring training last week.
They came right back to talk Bulls. You know, whenever you get that invitation to come talk some Bulls basketball, you can't turn that down.
Hey, man, we appreciate you being here. Hey, at least the Bulls put up a decent fight for you tonight.
Gave some effort, you know?
They did. They really did.
Dalen
Shout
Terry.
out, Bulls fans. Thank you for joining us. Throw us your comments, your questions about tonight's game. We'll get to as much of it as we can as we break this one down. The Bulls fall to the Celtics 124-113. The Bulls get swept in the regular season series against these East-leading Boston Celtics, but who knows? The Bulls find their way out of the play-in tourney, Kyle. Maybe it's a different story when they get to a best of seven, right?
Yeah. They play. You know, it's funny. Boston's down 3 starters and still just looked so effortless out there.
Could there be a clearer sign of where the Bulls are compared to what is actually competitive in the East right now? Because I think most people would agree with Embiid's injury and the Bucks going through some growing pains with a new roster this season, like the Celtics are far and away the team in the East.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But as you just mentioned, no Jaylen Brown tonight, no Kristaps tonight, no Holiday tonight, and again, like the Bulls didn't get blown out, and they got blown out the first 2 times they played the Celtics. They still fell short against these very shorthanded Celtics.
Is this one of those things where, you know, you look up Peyton Pritchard, 15 points. Everybody's bought into that system on that team, just, you know, getting into the paint, whipping around the perimeter for threes. And it just shows today, like they shot 43% from the 3-point line. Yeah. And they didn't even have their 3 of their main players. And it's just astonishing how they always seem to be able to run their stuff, get good shots. And the Bulls put up a fight. DeMar 28-9, I believe.
Yeah, 28, 9, and 6, flirting with a triple-double. And the Bulls had a season-high 36 assists tonight as a team. 36 assists on 47 buckets. They were moving the ball. I think like 2 things where they're undoing tonight. They gave the Celtics too many second chance opportunities. They did not take care of the glass. I mean, as good of a team as the Celtics are, you can't give them extra possessions. I think the last I checked, the tally was 21-2 second chance points in favor of Boston.
12 offensive rebounds.
And then on top of that, you mentioned the threes, people in the comments talking about the 3-point disparity. Tale as old as time, if you're a Bulls fan. The Bulls, 9 makes on 24 attempts. God, 24 attempts for 37.5%. You mentioned the 43% for the Celtics. That was on a volume of 21 of 48. This is just teams playing 2 different sports.
Yeah.
And the Bulls lost the 3-point battle by 33 points tonight.
I feel like with most, I hate to like put it down to the most basic level, but it just feels like every time a Bulls loss happened, it's mostly because the other team is shooting, you know, what you do in the modern NBA, which is a good requisite of your shots from 3. And the Bulls generate a lot of tough 2s, and the Celtics are just the greatest example of that. Yeah, they're the best shooting team in the league, best team in the league by far, probably in the Eastern Conference. And whenever these 2 teams match up, it's just 2 different play styles. Except the Bulls' play style can only get them so far. The Celtics' play style, even on a so-so night from Jason Tatum,
I mean, it was pedestrian for Tatum. 26 points on a fairly inefficient 8 of 20. Only 2 of 7 from downtown. He did get to the free throw line 9 times tonight, 8 of 9 at the line. But, yeah, on a night when maybe you expect him to carry a larger load without Kristaps, without Jaylen, it was just like, no, it was the role players. It was Sam Hauser going 7 of 8 from downtown. Horford, 5 of 10. Like, the Bulls just really don't have an answer for a team that's that deep and that plays that style of ball.
Yeah, it's just their role players. Like, we talked about this a little during the game. Your role players have to do all of the little things, moving the ball, playing defense, understanding spatial awareness. But it's just so hard as a role player when you can't shoot in today's NBA. It's just so hard to, be a positive impact. And the Celtics guys are all like, every guy who comes in, it seems to be a plus shooter. Al Horford, Peyton Pritchard, Hauser, they all would come in and just knock down the shots generated by Derek White.
I mean, Peyton Pritchard put up 15 points off the bench tonight and was a Celtics team best plus 17 off the bench.
Sounds about right.
It's not fair. It's really not fair. Shout out to Chocolate Salty Bulls in the comments who said 36 assists for the Bulls. Robert Horry had a good game. Shout out to that reference. You know who, I'm not going to say his name, would have been proud tonight. That's 2 former Bulls head coach references in one go. That's the other frustrating thing if you're a Bulls fan tonight. You're like, really, did we have to watch Luke Cornett cook us, dominate Vooch on the glass? Like, really? I think he had double-digit boards tonight.
Yeah, 13.
I mean, really? 13 boards.
Sam Hauser was 7 of 8 from 3.
I mean, this is teams playing in 2 different leagues. That's what Bulls Celtics is. That's why when the Celtics had most of their fully healthy repertoire, the first 2 times these teams met earlier this season, they were 20-point blowouts.
Yeah.
I do think you should give the Bulls some credit for the fact that even midway through the fourth quarter, they were still in this game.
Almost a clutch scenario.
I mean, so close. That's why they didn't win, because they couldn't get it to 5 points at that 5-minute mark. I think they were down 6 or 7.
Yeah, it was 6 or 7.
I mean, if it was within that clutch window, maybe we're talking about a Bulls W right now. But they played this Celtics team, and yes, again, shorthanded as they were, the Bulls are shorthanded too. And they played the Celtics even for 3.5 quarters. They just didn't have enough buckets or enough stops down the stretch. And I see people in the comments talking about some of the issues the Bulls had tonight defensively with some switches, with some closeouts.
But that's just what Boston does, though. Like, there was that one play that Stacey pointed out where Kobe was the weak side man, was supposed to rotate over on the pick and roll, but he's guarding Sam Hauser, who is on a 8 of 9 shooting night.
Right. Yeah,
so
exactly.
You can't rotate off of the weak side shooter. So even if DeMar rotates down, I think he was guarding Brissett.
Yeah.
It's just like, it makes more sense, but it's also not a normal rotation. Like, they force you into a lot of awkward rotations, awkward situations. It's just, they're just such a good team.
They really are. I mean, one of those teams where it's sort of a pick your poison scenario, even when Tatum is missing his co-stars from that starting lineup. Christian A in the comments saying Kobe is not that guy. Brian saying Kobe was horrible. Chase National saying not enough from Kobe or Io on offense tonight. Kobe did only contribute 11 points, Kyle. He was 3 of 11 from the field. 1 of 4 from downtown. He did dish out 10 assists to his 2 turnovers. This is his second game back from his short absence with the hip injury. He came off the bench in their game on Thursday, back in the starting lineup tonight. Those comments right there seemed a bit harsh to me. Like, I think Kobe, okay, his shot's not falling in these first couple of games back, but he gave you 10 assists. Like, I mean, I personally am gonna give Kobe a little bit of leeway coming back from this hip injury, which was a short, 3-game absence, maybe 4-game absence.
4-game absence.
It's his second game back, and for everything Kobe has done for this Bulls squad this season, all of the minutes he has played, like, can we cut Kobe a little bit of slack tonight?
Yeah, he played 36 minutes in his second game back, was a starter. I thought, shot wasn't falling, but he was one of the few players on this team who was getting into the paint and spraying it out for, kickouts and putting teams in rotation. So, yeah, the shot wasn't falling, but I mean, Kobe's shown that he's going to have those type of games. And saying he's not that guy, I mean, what do you mean when you're not that guy? Is he a number 1? No, but he's a good player. He's having a career season, almost 20 points a game. Yeah. So, I mean, shot wasn't falling, but it's his second game back. You have to give him some grace. And He's played one of the most minutes in the NBA this year.
He was leading the league in total minutes played until his absence from the hip injury.
Yeah, it's like,
and he's still like top 5.
Yeah, it's like what more do you kind of want from him?
Yeah, I love the dichotomy of Bulls fans and how they think about things. It always comes to the forefront in our comments, and I love it every time. Colin saying Kobe can have a damn night off. South Garcon saying Kobe's letting that Most Improved Player award slip. Like, because he was out for 3 games with a hip injury that thankfully looked like it could have been way worse than it was.
Exactly.
He's already back out there playing. Mike saying he was struggling before his injury. I mean, I think Kobe had mostly pulled himself out of his slump before that hip injury. Colin saying also, if you get 10 dimes, you are absolutely a productive player. I would agree with that. Yeah. Chocolate Salty Bull saying, even when Kobe's shot isn't falling, he moves the ball, plays solid defense, and has become one of the most vocal players on the court. I would agree with that. Please do.
Yeah, just, watching the broadcast, they really talked a lot about his vocal, like he was mic'd up for the game, really vocal. You hear him talking to his teammates. You hear I think at one point, I believe it was in the third quarter, he's trying to rally guys and get the energy up. And that's one thing that's probably been the biggest growth for Kobe White this season, is kind of stepping into a leadership role, which, can be hard. You got DeMar, you have Vooch, you have vets who have been all-stars in this league, but Kobe White has stepped up in that leadership role. So even on an off night, just him always trying to play the right way, always trying to make things happen, always trying to be vocal. All of that stuff is going to matter, whatever entails for the Bulls' progress going forward in terms of team building. Having a guy like Kobe White, who for all intents and purposes just cares about winning, cares about the process, all of that stuff adds up. The Denver Nuggets just then become the Denver Nuggets in one off season.
Right.
It was always that building problem. And I'm not saying the Bulls are going to be the Nuggets, but it's just you have to build with players learning through moments like this. And him learning how to be there was a time where if Kobe White wasn't shooting, he was probably going to be on the bench. And so for him to have 10 assists, that's growth.
It is. Jason Ashland saying, I just meant we're not going to beat the Celtics with Kobe and Io scoring as little as they did tonight. We needed more. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Because, you put up a damn good fight. You took care of the basketball for the most part tonight. You lost by 11. And, Kobe and Io, who you have become a bit more accustomed to seeing put up 20 points, even 30 points this season, gave you collectively 25. And speaking of, Io was coming off of these games where Kobe was out, or even coming off the bench as he did on Thursday. Io still in that starting spot and handling more of those, playmaking and ball handling responsibilities. We saw, Io put up 2 career high point totals in the span of 3 games, Kyle.
Right.
And we also saw him have a stretch where he was doing more of that Kobe role and dishing. I think he had 19 assists to 2 turnovers in a 2-game span there while Kobe was out. And, Io gives you 14 tonight instead of some Bulls fans recently being like, oh, Io's just our newest and coolest, we can rely on him for 20-plus points a night kind of player. Well, no, Kobe comes back. He takes some of that usage of the offense back away from Io, and, Io still got up 16 shots tonight, 7 to 16. It was an okay night.
Io, it was, Io having the 30 points, 2 30-point games in a 3-game span.
Yeah.
But we got to temper it. Him having 14 is still a good night for Io on 16 shots. It's funny how we've gotten to the point where him having 14 is a disappointment. When him having 14 with all of the stuff he's doing defensively as well, that's a winning player. That's what you would want from Io. In an ideal prime world for Io, him having 14 a night is a game changer. Right.
Well, and I think the reason that maybe and tonight just might be a little, flair of it, because I think Bulls fans were excited to have that Io-Kobe tandem back together in the starting lineup tonight after Kobe's brief absence, because Bulls fans looking for something to, grasp onto.
Right.
Optimistically, looking down the stretch run of this season and into the offseason and beyond, thinking, are they going to find a trade for Zach this offseason? Is Lonzo actually going to come back from his umpteenth surgery, or won't he? Bulls fans looking at the growth of Kobe and Io as individuals, but also as a new starting backcourt for the back half of this season that looks legitimately promising in a variety of ways, raising expectations to say, okay, well, yeah, Ayo could be a great role player, or Kobe can be a great role player. Can they be our team starting backcourt for years to come? That is now, I think, the question that Bulls fans are asking themselves and wanting the answer to be yes.
Yeah, I mean, and I would say this game is, it wasn't their best performances by any stretch of the imagination, but, say going into next season, we don't know what's going to happen with Zach in the trades, but Kobe White and Ayo, that could be your backcourt because they complement each other well. They both want to play up-tempo, high-paced basketball. They both want to push it as often as they can.
And they have enough length between them to be a legitimate perimeter defense tandem.
Both are 6'5".
Yeah.
And so they're both tall. Kobe's taller for a point guard. Ayo's taller for a point guard. But he can scale up and guard.
Right. They can both guard some wings and even some smaller fours.
And so that's going to be huge. The reason that works is because of Ayo's ability to guard, a Jason Tatum here, or scale down and guard, Steph or Damian Lillard here by any chance. And I think it could work. And so them even just playing together consistently is a good sign because you never know what's going to happen with Zach. But, Ayo being that pesky defender, solid shooter who's guarding multiple positions, and Kobe being the high-scoring lead guard, that has the makings of a solid backcourt going forward.
Yeah. It does. It does. Let's take our first break there. We'll come back and continue diving into tonight's Bulls loss to the Celtics. I see plenty of people in the comments talking about the night we saw from Vooch. We can dive into that too if y'all want. Not a great night from him. And Bulls fans, they love a Vooch scapegoat night. Always have. You and I were talking about Vooch's contract tonight, Kyle. Man. 3 years. Woo!
3 years, $60 million.
While we are sharing these words from our friends and sponsors, you know what to do, Bulls Nation. Multitask. Listen to how you can score some great deals on some great products while hitting that like button. Do it for our friend and producer, Sarah, on those controls. She's no Troll Joey, but she also deserves your thumbs ups. Isn't that right, Sarah?
Yeah. Yeah. I reminded them.
Good. Good. Also, if you aren't already, go ahead and subscribe to that CHGO Sports YouTube channel so you can get alerts every time we go live. Postgame tonight brought to you by our friends at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Are you in the market for a new vehicle? If you are, we've got great news because our partner, Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Fox Lake, is celebrating the Jeep Celebration event all month long. You know what that means? It means you're able to rave about their savings on a wide selection of inventory. For a limited time, lease a new 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo Altitude for just $439 a month for 39 months. It's an incredible lease deal. Also, if the Grand Cherokee isn't big enough for you, check out the new third row and lease a new 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited L for $479 a month for 39 months. Deals on deals. Don't miss out. Shop great deals all month long and save big because Racy DJR makes buying a new vehicle more affordable than ever. Also, you can, just for listening to CHGO Bulls, get yourself a free oil change when you mention CHGO at their service center or mention CHGO when you book for an oil change on their website, racydjr/service. But you have to schedule before April 1st, so hurry up and book that appointment now. If you're in the market for a new vehicle, you've got to check out the team at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram because they are the only team that we recommend. Visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake. For more information, visit Racy DJR in Fox Lake or racydjr.com. Serving the community since 1963. You ever drive a Jeep, Kyle?
Never.
No. I love Jeep. I used to drive. That was the car I learned how to drive on. Was a Jeep, really? A '95 Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Oh, nice.
Drove the wheels off that
Cherokee.
thing.
I love a Grand Cherokee.
Right? There's
It's
something that I feel like is very overlapping between Jeep Grand Cherokees and sports fans. I don't know why. There's just something about it. Yeah. Probably because I'm a lunatic sports fan and my first car ever was a Jeep Grand Cherokee. What about you, Sarah? You ever drive a Jeep?
My parents actually own, we used to own two Jeep Wranglers, the Renegades.
Oh, yeah?
And that's a great city car. They turn really well. They have good gas mileage. We're down to one now because my dad kind of destroyed the other one. He just drove it too much. We had 200,000 miles on it, and then it died.
That's a pretty decent shelf life right there.
Yeah, but it did last forever. It's a great car.
Postgame tonight also brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks. Y'all, if you aren't doing Prize Picks, especially with this tourney going on, you are missing out. Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. That's a whole continent. They're the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. That's it. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros, sharks, Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, you just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 different player stat projections, and then watch the winnings roll in. The tourney is here. The madness is here. So be part of that action on Prize Pick for both men's and women's college basketball. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4, count them, 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 with the NBA, with the NHL, and yes, of course, college hoops entries today on Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy app. So go to prizepicks.com/CHGO and use promo code CHGO for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/CHGO with promo code CHGO. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. So yeah, we got some Vooch haters in the comments. Understandable, not surprising. Michael saying, is Vooch lazy or slow? I don't get how a guy 7 feet tall can have 2 rebounds. It was uncharacteristic low rebound total for Vooch tonight. Also, I think he's 6'10". He's not a legit 7-footer.
No.
Not to split hairs, but Vooch was rough, says Christian. Michael asking you to remove the Vooch thumbs up graphic. Please, Sarah. Chicago Bulls Nation saying Luke effing Cornett was out there dominating Vooch at home. Vooch's numbers tonight, he finished with 14 on 7 of 10 in 32 minutes. And yes, just the 2 rebounds. He did, as we pointed out, the Bulls had a season-high team assists. He was responsible for 5 of those dimes. He did also have, somewhat surprisingly, 2 blocks. Rarely see the Vooch block shot. We saw a couple of them. One of them was really impressive.
Came after he picked up that technical, I believe, for
throwing the ball against the stanchion.
Yeah. He gets those a lot.
Not the worst of the dumb technicals we saw tonight. We can get to that later too. But yeah, I mean, when Vooch is not dominating, when you're going up against Luke Cornett, it's hard to defend that.
Yeah, it's Luke Cornett having 11 more rebounds than you it was just a weird night for Vooch. Seemed very frustrated all night. Just, the shot wasn't falling, kind of low energy night, but 2 rebounds, that's just kind of an effort thing. Like you should be able to fall into at least 5-6 rebounds. But, Vooch, and then he had a couple of rough blow-bys where Al Horford was blowing by him easily and finishing at the rim.
Vooch made Horford look like freaking Roadrunner. And Al Horford is an old man. You should not be making Al Horford look quick and fast getting to the bucket.
Absolutely. It was we had to have a conversation to remind ourselves how old Al Horford is.
Yeah.
He was from that 2007 draft where KD's still playing.
Florida Gators, baby. But there's not many from that draft class.
But he's still chugging along. He's still hanging on.
He had 15 points on threes alone tonight. I mean, come on. Really? Is this what we're doing? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I mean, not a great night for Vooch. Not a great season for Vooch, honestly.
And a bad one.
Michael said, hey, at least Vooch is being competitive. Well, he's got that 3 years and 60 guaranteed, so he's got to show up, right?
Yeah.
Sarah, I heard a jingle, I believe. Does that mean it's time for a certain talk with a certain goat?
Yes.
Let's do it!
That's where he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Joining us now on that Go Talk hotline from the United Center Live, it is our guy, our Bulls insider, Will the Go Gottlieb. Follow him, Will_Gottlieb on Twitter for all of his Bulls reporting and updates. Read all of his stuff, allchgo.com. Goat, yes, the Celtics were shorthanded, but credit to the Bulls. They hung in there for 3.5 quarters. Kyle and I were joking that, if they got it down to 5 at the 5-minute mark, we're probably talking about a Bulls clutch win instead of a not quite clutch Bulls loss. What was your biggest takeaway from this one, buddy?
I think the kind of under talked about storyline of the last month or so has been the Bulls being a bottom 3 defense in the entire league. And there's going to be nights where you're playing against teams and they're not really doing much to put some pressure on you. Obviously, they gave up over 100 in 3 quarters last game. And so it kind of sparked some curiosity on my part. And sure enough, bottom 3 since March. And, when you play a team like the Celtics, who's just going to chuck a bunch of threes, it really, I think, gets put on display. So 21 for 48 threes. I'm sure you guys have already hit on it because that was like the big headline number of this game, 44% from deep, and a 36-point difference between the two teams when it comes to points on threes. So I think it's just really difficult to win games that way. And usually we're talking about it from the standpoint of the Bulls offense not really being able to generate a lot of threes. But the fact that they're giving up so many, I think they're like second in the league in percentage of the shots that they allow from the corners, second in the league in percentage of shots that they allow from the top of the key, and they give up the most threes of any other team in the league. So I think they just have to do a better job about that. Billy said after the game that, it's not so much the first shots that they're giving up, but it's like the offensive rebound kickouts or this, driving into the paint and then drawing help over and spraying it out that way. So I think there's a lot they can clean up, but just kind of uncharacteristic of a group that finished top 5 in defense last year.
We saw Kobe take his rightful spot back in the starting lineup tonight, Will, after one game coming off the bench, making his way back from the hip injury. Did not shoot particularly well tonight, just 3 of 11 from the field, but did dish out 10 assists on leading the way as the Bulls had a team season high 36 total assists tonight. What did you see from Kobe tonight, and did you all get a chance to chat with him after the game?
Yeah, I talked to him briefly. We talked probably most about just the team's defense and the way that the Celtics shot the ball. But he said that he feels fine. I think there's still probably a little bit of rust coming off of that week off. He said, like, it's only a couple of games, but when you're in the course of a season, that week feels like it's much longer. So it's going to take some time. Not to say that he's still hurt by any means, but just I think getting back into a full rhythm against a really good team like the Celtics, and obviously last game in his first game back coming off the bench. So I think it's going to take a little bit of time. I think we all know he can shoot the ball a little bit better, but we also know he's susceptible to cold stretches. So I think he did a good job trying to push the pace, push the tempo. I thought the Bulls did a really good job in transition. Io and Kobe in particular trying to get the ball up ahead so that they could make plays. And I think that's kind of what kept this game as close as it was. They were 57% from the field on the night, and I thought they did a really good job just getting downhill and taking advantage of the fact that the Celtics didn't have their rim protector down there. They didn't have Kristaps Porzingis, so they were able to really generate a lot of shots at the rim. Problem was they were just giving up threes on the other end, and math.
Alex Caruso, did you guys talk? He, I believe, appeared to hurt his ankle. Any updates on him, how he's feeling?
Did not get a chance to talk with him. I think he was just getting some treatment after the game, but appeared to roll his ankle. I imagine he'll be questionable on the injury report for Monday, as he always is, and probably play through it.
Because it's a day ending in Y. Alex Caruso banged up, went to the locker room, came back, kept playing, and will be on the injury report tomorrow. Will, pretty strong night from one young Dalen Terry. 20 minutes off the bench, actually led the Bulls bench in minutes. His first double-digit scoring game of the season with his 12 points on 5 of 8. A couple of pretty impressive dunks, the high-flying putback, and then the one he had running down the left side in transition, got the bogus tech called on him. What did you make from the young, scrappy Dalen Terry tonight?
I think it's very similar to my normal comments about Dalen. I think he has some really interesting skills, the driving ability, the athleticism. I think the offensive rebounding has been really impressive. But you see the way that the Celtics defended him, which was to say that they let him shoot. They gave him those shots, and he would either, record scratch and try to drive into help, or he would take it. And I think there was a corner three that he took that kind of hit the bottom of the rim, barely scraped it. So that's always going to be the limiting factor. But look, when he can give you some quality defense, some athleticism, some transition play, some offensive rebounding, and some nice ball movement, like, that's a good player in there. And I think he feels a lot more confident with where he's at. He said as much after the game, just talking about, the mental side of things and like understanding that he is a player and that he can compete with these guys. And now that he's getting this opportunity, he wants to make sure he puts that on display. So, I asked him about the way that teams are guarding him, and he said, when teams close out, like it's definitely easier to get into the paint. It's definitely easier to make those plays. But the problem for him is that that's just not always how teams are going to guard him. So that's always going to be something that he struggles with until he gets good enough and he's really making teams pay. But until then, I think you're going to get some really great defensive performances, some really good transition stuff. And there's going to be nights where he just isn't really able to contribute because the limited shooting keeps him off the floor. I do think he's getting a lot better. I think he's put a lot of work in, but it's just a kind of a slow burn with a guy who I think had a lot of work to do on his jump shot.
Last one, Will, and then we'll let you go. Earlier today at their shoot around this morning, I saw you all got a chance to chat with our old pal Javonte Green, who the Bulls just officially signed to a 10-day contract. We did not see him get any tick tonight. He was a DNP. I'm sure that was to the disappointment of several Bulls fans, including myself. I would have loved to see Javonte get out there. What can you tell us about what you guys heard from Javonte at this morning's shoot-around? And can you tell us anything more specifically about this, injury, hardship, whatever kind of stuff that led to this signing, because the Bulls were already at a 15-man roster? And does this potentially, as some Bulls fans have been hypothesizing, mean that Julian Phillips is actually done for the year? Like, why is Javonte here?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, this is injury hardship provision, which basically allows the Bulls to bring in a free agent on a 10-day contract for in the event that you have 4 players, I believe, out who have missed at least 3 games and are going to be out for 2 weeks. And so obviously you've got Zach, Patrick, and Lonzo out for the year. Julian Phillips, as you mentioned, being the 4th guy who is out for 2 weeks. And I imagine that this is retroactive to when they initially announced the 2-week timeline. We asked Billy about that pregame, and he said he didn't really have any updates on Julian. They're still immobilizing the foot, and they're going to have an update once they kind of take it out and see what he looks like, see how he's feeling. But I don't think there's any real reason to sound the alarm on Julian just yet. As far as Javonte goes, yeah, I think the big thing for them was, he understands the system. He understands the coaches. He's been with the players. Like, he's been a part of this team. And so it was going to be a little bit of an easier transition than bringing somebody in off the street who has never been to the United Center before, has never, been in the Bulls locker room. I think they really valued that when bringing him back. But I do expect this to be just a 10-day thing. I don't think it's going to, maybe he'll get another 10-day if guys continue to be hurt. But I think the max 10-day contracts you can get in a season by a team is just 2. So that should be it for him. Obviously, they've got 15 roster spots full, so they're not going to be able to do anything more at this point. But it's nice to see him back, and I think he's excited to be back with some of his old teammates. They were excited to have him here as well. So he's just looking to kind of be himself and make an impact in whatever way that he can while he has this opportunity.
I will let you, on your way out, Goat, tease your upcoming Goat 101 newsletter, which I took a glance at earlier today. I know it is about the Bulls and their post-up touches offensively this season. We were, before you joined us, listening to and reading some frustrated Bulls fans' comments about the game we saw from Vooch tonight. What did you see from Vooch tonight? And by all means, please tease what you have coming up for us as far as analyzing the Bulls' post-up offense.
Yeah, I think I need to revisit that. It's been a couple of days, so I just got some interesting quotes from Billy on it, and we'll have to go back to the numbers and kind of match those up. But I think this was a team, obviously, without Porzingis, where you feel like you have an opportunity to take advantage in the post. We see a lot of times Drummond getting these like duck in post ups where he's in the dunker spot. He slides in, gets a steal, and has good position. They're able to find him. He's been effective in that way. You've seen it with Vooch, where he's either rolling into a post up out of a pick and roll, or just finding space when somebody else has the ball at the top of the key. And there are times when he can make those shots, and there are times when it looks easy, and there are times when it just does not work well, including some of those playmaking opportunities. But I think at the end of the day, even without the Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, and Kristaps Porzingis, you saw kind of the difference in shot creation from one team to the other. You saw Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser and obviously Tatum be able to get shots up. And I think the Bulls really struggle with that. It really does feel like Vooch and DeMar are, even with Kobe not playing his best basketball, even with Io not necessarily scoring the ball the way that he had the previous couple of games, be able to kind of generate shots from the perimeter. And I think that's something that the Bulls really struggle with. And it's something that they're going to have to continue to lean on those post-ups in order to generate offense, whether it's offensive rebounding or just, kickouts or post-ups. And until they kind of get a little bit better when it comes to creating offense, that's kind of how it's going to have to be, even if that's not necessarily the most efficient form of offense.
Bulls fans, be sure to follow our guy, Will Gottlieb, Will_Gottlieb is the Twitter handle. Read all of his stuff, game recaps, and more. AllCHGO.com is where you can find that. Goat, buddy, as we know, sometimes the Bulls are 2 games under 500. Sometimes they're 4. But tonight and always 3. Get home safe, buddy. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you on Monday, all right?
I see you, Will.
Take care, guys.
That's Will the GOAT. Appreciate him joining us as always. That's me and Will's new philosophy. It's been going on for a couple months now, Kyle. Sometimes the Bulls are 4 games under. Sometimes they're 2. But they're always 3.
Always 3.
Bulls fans were so excited at their prospect of getting back to 500 finally in their game on Thursday.
Yep.
Nope. Couldn't quite get it done.
Couldn't quite get
it done. Hella competitive, though.
Always competitive.
Just so competitive.
Always competitive basketball.
I kid because I love Chasen Ashland. Chasen Ashland predicted a 3-0 streak in that Bulls stretch of very winnable opponent games to get back to 500. Some of us just know better. It's not a problem. It's not your fault. It's not your fault that you're a Bulls fan who wants them to be 500 and believes that they would be. Bless your heart, your sweet, innocent heart. Let's take a second ad break. We'll come back and dive into more. While we're doing that, you know what to do. Hit that like button. Do it for our friend Sarah on the controls.
Absolutely.
Do it for our guy Kyle Williams sitting in the Big Dave chair for the night like a goddamn boss.
Shout out Big Dave.
Hey, shout out Big Dave. Nothing but love. He will be back. You know who else is a boss? Charlie the Bacon Guy, because he makes it his life's work to provide delicious bacon in so many different flavors to his fellow bacon lovers. Charlie's based out of Woodbridge, Illinois, and makes craft bacon and bacon jams in over 35 different flavors. Take that, Baskin Robbins. Naturally cured, preservative-free products. There aren't any ingredients that Charlie can't pronounce himself involved in his bacon-making process, unlike a lot of those store-bought brands of bacon. When you read the ingredient list and you're like, hey, what the heck is this? The ingredient list would just say bacon. Charlie's bacon comes vacuum sealed and freezes perfectly. The bacon lasts in the packaging up to 60 days in the fridge and including a week after you break that seal. Lasts even longer, 9 months in the freezer. And look at these beautiful options that Sarah is showing you if you're watching on YouTube right now. My goodness, I want all of them. The bacon jam that Charlie makes lasts 90 days in the fridge and up to a whole year in the freezer. But if you eat bacon like I do, then you're not worried about shelf life, fridge life, freezer life, because when you get bacon, especially bacon that's this delicious, you eat it until it's gone and then you order more. That's how it works. The bacon jam goes really well on all kinds of different dishes, in different dishes. Scramble it into your scrambled eggs in the morning. You can spread it on a toast or a bagel in the morning. Put it on your charcuterie board the next time you're having people over and you want to be fancy with a charcuterie board. Sarah, are you a charcuterie board person?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah?
Sorry, I have a little cold. Hell yeah.
Do you put bacon jam on a charcuterie board, or have you yet?
I haven't, but since Charlie has been to the office a couple times, it's something that I am very much interested in. And I've eaten his jam off of a spoon, which is Charlie's favorite way to eat it.
Just eat it right out of the jar. Just eat it with a spoon. You can do that too. Try all of his flavors. Some of my favorites: chorizo. Oh my goodness. Chipotle, Cajun. Of course, you know I love the Jardiniere because I am a Chicago beef person. Raspberry Chipotle, Maui Wowie, just to name a few. And right now, Charlie has a deal for you, our fellow Bulls fans and CHGO listeners. Start now, you can save 10% on your order at charliethebaconguy.com when you use promo code CHGO at checkout. You can pick it up, or you can have it delivered to you. You can meet Charlie halfway if you're also in the Chicagoland area. Or if you need it, he will even ship it directly to you. Charlie makes the bacon so you can bring it home. To contact him or place an order, visit the website www.charliethebaconguy.com. You can find him on Instagram at CharlieTheBaconGuy, on Twitter at CZTheBaconGuy, or shoot him an email, charliethebaconguy@gmail.com. You a bacon eater, Kyle?
Not really, no.
Yeah, you
What?
strike me as the type who's like too healthy. Yeah, you're a
Do you
very
not
healthy
like
looking
bacon?
individual.
I don't eat pork anymore, actually.
Any pork at all?
Okay.
No. I cut out
How do
pork.
you, like, are you sad all the time?
He'll live longer than us.
I cut out pork.
Live longer, but to what end? For what point? If you're not eating pork the whole time?
Cut out beef.
Man.
I mean, but I still, I indulge on a good pizza. I indulge Chinese food, stuff like that.
So what's your favorite Chinese food dish?
Sweet and sour chicken. I love sweet and sour, or Kung Pao chicken. I love those two dishes.
Solid options.
Like I can eat those anytime, any place, anywhere.
Yeah.
And then pizza. Growing up, I was always a huge pizza guy.
I mean,
like I was
Chicago.
Of course. Like I'm just a huge pizza guy. Like I had Pequod's for the first time over the summer. Changed my life.
First time?
First time.
What took you so long?
It's just, I was always like a Giordano's person. So I was always like, that was my go-to Bocce's.
Oh.
And then I was like.
You didn't even know.
And then I went to Pequod's and it was life-changing. Just the crust is so light and tasteful. And then the sauce and the cheese just falls right off the pizza. It's so good.
Delightful. Sarah, let me ask you this. What time is it?
Game time hoop.
There it is. You shouldn't have to worry where you're buying your tickets to your next big event, Bulls fans. Game Time is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you with killer, shout out Big Dave, last minute deals. That hurt my voice. All in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Of course, Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase because you can view the seat from the app before you buy, so you know exactly what the view is from your specific seat, so you won't be one of those surprise situations, whether it be a sporting event or a concert. Oh, hey there, pillar. Thank you for obstructing my view. Nope. Not with Game Time, who also have all-in pricing that show you your total up front so you know you're getting a great deal without any of those hidden fees that we all despise from some of those other ticketing apps and agencies. Game Time is obsessed with finding new ways to help you save money on tickets. They have deals leading right up to the start of an event and even after an hour after that event has started if you want to call an audible with your friends on what you want to do that night. Hey, I know this concert just started 20 minutes ago. Let's go on Game Time and see if we can get some last-minute deals because those deals on last-minute seats are incredible. With Zone Deals, you pick the section and Game Time picks the seats for an average savings of 18%. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Because Kyle Williams, what time is it?
Game Time. Whew.
That's right.
I remember hearing that for the first time on one of those old Bulls championship DVDs. I think it was Ron Harper, I believe.
So in the first three-peat, it was usually Cliff Levingston who did the What Time Is It? And then the team call and response was Game Time Who. The second three-peat, it was Randy Brown.
Oh, Randy Brown.
Who yelled, "What time is it?"
Shout out Randy Brown. He was with the Bulls in some capacity, right?
Still is.
Still is.
Randy Brown still cashing checks from Jerry. I mean, good for him, man.
Hey, no, if you get into Jerry's good graces, you have a job for life on both teams. White Sox saying
John Paxson had to fire himself. He had to go to Grandpa Jerry and say, "Grandpa Jerry, I'm out, man. Like, Bulls fans are bloodthirsty. We're not getting it done. I'm tired. I give up. Let me fire myself."
Continuity and competitiveness.
Ooh,
hallmarks of the Bulls.
It's the newer, younger, and athletic.
Then you go sign D Wade and Rondo. It's like, yeah.
Oh my God.
Draft Denzel Valentine, who is neither young nor athletic, and got yourself a basketball team.
I guess you do. Jason National saying it was not Game Time tonight for Billy Donovan or any of his players who lost. Randy Brown said, he said, Randy Brown said it's 8:30. So we got Will's thoughts on the night from Dalen. I do want to get yours because you and I were talking a little bit about Dalen while we were watching this game together tonight, Kyle. And it seems like you and I have a similar viewpoint. And I know that Big Dave, who is a big believer in Dalen, if the Bulls somehow were pulling this game out tonight, I was by proxy through Big Dave of almost assuredly going to give Goon of the Night to Dalen.
100%.
Because he had two insane dunks and was out there doing crazy Dalen shit. But But you and I still have the same problem, which is if you're talking about a role player on an NBA team that is a good NBA squad, it's really hard to do that if you can't create your own shot off the dribble and or you can't shoot. And those are Dalen's two big hangups currently in year 2 of his NBA career. But on a night like tonight, when he gives you 20 solid minutes off the bench and showing you all the other ways in which he can be useful, kind of in similar ways of our old pal Javonte, who we just brought back, like, yo, this guy has a lot in his tool chest, but the shooting. Yeah. What did you see from him tonight, and what do you see from him moving forward for the Bulls?
This is probably the best case game from Dalen Terry if you are, the Bulls front office. Just, him being active on the offensive rebounding glass, the putback, thriving in transition, getting that dunk that he somehow got a tech on when he tried to just land. But this is what you would want to see from Dalen Terry in almost 20 minutes, 12 points, efficient, but it's just so hard. Like, what makes Denver, and I know they're in a whole another stratosphere from the Bulls, but what makes them so dangerous is that they can play so many different lineup combinations because all of their guys at some point in time, like, can shoot. Like, Aaron Gordon is probably their worst 3-point shooter, and even he can knock down a 3 on occasion. KCP, Peyton Watson, Christian Brown. Like, what's really going to help those guys in their development is getting a 3-point shot because of how athletic they are.
Right.
And in Dalen Terry's case, look no further than Alex Caruso, having a career almost doubled his career makes in threes this season. Like, if Dalen Terry,
I think tonight he hit his 110th of the season, and his previous career high was 55.
That development is staggering.
It's crazy.
And so if Dalen Terry could just become that and just hit the corner threes, it would just make so much, like, because he's never going to be a guy with the ball in his hands. But if, you put him in the corner and he's hitting at least a league average rate from the corners, that'll go a long way for the spacing on this team. A team that has been desperate for spacing since it feels like the Obama administration. Since
Lonzo got hurt? Or yes, predating that, the Obama administration.
It's been such a long time. Like, this team has been just bereft of shooting, and, Dalen Terry becoming a league average will change everything for his outlook.
Yeah.
But it's the equalizer. It's the make or miss skill in today's NBA. Can you or can you not do something with the ball in your hands?
Exactly. Rob in the comments said, credit to Dalen. He's putting in work, looks a lot stronger, and it is helping him rebound and finish through contact. That's true. He did have a really tough bucket in the paint in the first half tonight where he just put his body, I can't remember who was guarding him, but it was somebody who was as big or bigger than Dalen. Yeah. And he just put his body into him, got up to the rim, and finished it. It was like, wow, I've rarely seen Dalen do that. We have seen that he's added a little bit of muscle and size to his frame. Like when he came in, like we watched him in Summer League 2 years ago, that he has skin and bones. He's put on some tone to his body, which is great. And okay, credit to him. He can finish in the paint. He's not afraid to throw his body around. We saw him throw his body around tonight, skying over people for a putback dunk, crashing the boards, doing what he does. But the development has got to be there with his ball handling and his shooting. And people in the comments pointing out like it's better. I was talking to Goat about it the other night. His shooting form is better than where it was. And, we have shouted out Peter Patton, the Bulls' new shooting coach, a few times this season because you see what Caruso's done. You see what Iowa's done with his shot, his three-point shot. Dalen's form when we first saw him play at Summer League 2 years ago was a mess. It was like, who taught this dude how to shoot a basketball? You see it slowly morphing into what more of an actual NBA player's shot should look like. It's just still not consistent. We saw him clang a bad corner three tonight. He's shooting 25%, I think, on the season. Yep. He has got to do it. He's got to get that shot if he wants to be a real player on this team or any team in the NBA.
Yeah, because he's not the slasher that Io is in transition, where he's just gonna finish everything. Like, that's probably been the biggest development, other than the shooting from Io too, has been his finishing around the rim, just getting there and finishing.
Yeah,
and it's just so hard to survive in the NBA nowadays as a role guy if you can't. You have to have an otherworldly skill set in order to do it. Like Draymond Green, is a otherworldly defender who understands his limitations but works at it, and it's not a negative for the way they play. But it's just so hard when you're like not a starter and you're a role guy and you come in, because it condenses the floor when Dalen Terry's in, and you can't have too many non-shooters when you play, Vucevic, who's having a career low in shooting, and
right?
DeMar, a historic non-shooter. So,
and it's like the fact that it's so outrageous that DeMar, a career long, this guy doesn't shoot threes labeled player, on some nights is like, oh, like DeMar went 2 of 4 tonight from behind the 3-point line. Great. Like he's some nights our second or third most reliable 3-point shooter.
And then today he takes 1.
Yeah.
Like he's just because he can make them. He just refuses to not take them, which I kind of respect as a bit to this point.
I mean,
he's like, you guys are going to legislate the mid-range jumper out of the game? All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you guys I can shoot the 3. I'm just going to step in just to shoot the mid-range, just to piss people off.
Yep. And still be among the league leaders in fourth quarter points scored, clutch time points scored, and most of it being done in the mid-range is truly impressive. Before we move off of Dalen, I feel like we should make note of the fact we talked about the Vooch tech earlier. The tech that Dalen got for hanging on the rim, Kyle, on that dunk.
It's ridiculous.
What is happening with NBA refs right now?
I don't get why NBA refs are so quick to call that one. Like, unless a player's like egregiously just hanging on the rim, why would you even call? And in Dalen's case, he was just trying, like, he dunked on Derek White, and so his momentum is carrying him forward. Derek White is still there.
Yeah.
So he's swinging to protect himself, and then he just came down.
Right.
So I don't get, NBA refs are confused. They just don't like fun.
No.
And it's just a staggering bad call.
And it's like so the last 2-minute report's been around for a while, and it's them basically getting reviewed and that review being publicized of other refs saying, did these refs make the right calls in the final 2 minutes of this game, or did they not? And maybe they don't appreciate that because they feel like they're being questioned or exposed, but it's like, whatever. Coaches' challenges have been around now in the NFL and the NBA for a while. Yep. Like, it is what it is. There is human error involved, and that's fine. Humans make errors. Don't be all protective and weird and standing on your pedestal about it.
Even that Jason Tatum one was bad, where he just threw the ball to the ref a little hard. And
you threw it. It wasn't a perfect pocket pass in my shooting space, so I'm going to give you a tech.
I feel like I've seen Jason Tatum get that more than most players, and it's just, I don't get it. At that point, it's just to the discretion of the ref.
Yeah.
Which, I hate those. Like, it's one thing, if a player curses at a ref, then it's like, oh, everybody knows that's an automatic tech.
Sure.
But to, just for him throwing the ball hard at you, and you're just like, all right, I'm going to give you a tech.
Yeah. And Vooch throwing the ball against the stanchion after a bucket because he was frustrated. Really? Is that deserving of a tech? The other one this season, it was a few weeks back. Did you see the one where DeJounte Murray was just like sitting on the bench after a timeout? Yeah. And then one of the refs went over to talk to him, and DeJounte just ignored the ref. And then the ref was like, well, you get a tech for ignoring me while
you're on the bench.
Yeah.
You're on the, you at that point, you don't have to talk to the ref. I feel
right.
Like, if you're not in the game and you're just on the bench, he shouldn't have to talk to the ref.
But then also, where are these lines and borders that NBA officials are drawing about what's acceptable and what's not in today's game, which is clearly a much more cleaned up and tidy version of the NBA basketball that I grew up watching in the 90s, which was like, it was a boxing match. Like, okay, take your free throws, but it was a boxing match. Like the other day when Chris Fleming, Bulls assistant coach, gets into it with John Collins, like physical altercation.
I'm surprised Collins
wasn't even ejected. Like, what are we doing?
I'm surprised that wasn't made a bigger deal. And maybe it's because the Bulls are just like a mediocre team and mainstream just doesn't care.
Yeah, the Bulls tend to have some Rodney Dangerfield-esque relationship with NBA officials the last few years.
Like, that was such a fascinating brawl to watch from afar. Because John Collins is getting to it with an assistant coach, and nobody was thrown out. But yeah, you would have some, I believe Chris Paul was thrown out last night for saying,
yes, he was,
for calling a ref a TikToker. And it's like, what are we doing here?
I mean, okay, That one I can see, but that's just because I have a strong bias against TikTok and people who make TikToks, and I think TikTok is dumb, and the younger generations,
the ref
with
probably
their
did
TikToks,
too.
We're all doomed. So that one I understand.
The ref was probably
if someone
offended.
called me a TikToker, I would take offense to that. If I were an NBA official, would I throw someone out for calling me a TikToker? No, probably not.
It's my problem with refs is when it gets to affecting the game and it's something that isn't egregious enough to warrant a technical. I feel technical should be given in a short supply for the most like adverse circumstances.
Yes.
Like a curse word or a cursing match and things of that nature. But like Jason Tatum throwing the ball at you a little hard, come on. Like we're adults.
Soft. Para Junior Sports in the comments, shout out, buddy, said that tech on Dalen is going to be rescinded. That's what I tweeted from our team account. I was like, they have to rescind that tech. There's no reason for it. Dalen's momentum, he had to hold on to the rim and then wait for his momentum to swing back the other way and then let go. And that's what he did. It was not even hanging on the rim. Garcon saying in reference to the Tony Brothers one with Javonte, that guy is a joke. Zero accountability from the NBA front office. Xbox King Cam saying anybody but Scott Foster. Ooh, dude, the Scott Foster CP3 beef is truly fascinating.
I love it.
Truly fascinating.
I love it.
Will we get it in the playoffs? I mean, Warriors got to get there.
Yeah, I was going to say because
they're about to choke the 10th seed out and like lose to the Rockets, like
because Houston is just playing their best basketball since like the James Harden era.
Right. They beat the Bulls on Thursday for their 7th straight win. Without Şengün.
They are what Bulls fans should want because they signed high priced veterans, but just their young talent alone is enough to be enticed by what they can be. Like I think Amen Thompson threw a lob to Jalen Green and he like rose to the sky to dunk it.
Dude, I really like that young squad they have in Houston.
And then Ime Udoka is their coach who's demanding accountability. So now they're building those good habits.
They got something good going on down in Houston. They really do. I've been thinking this whole time, like I just really want the drama of a Lakers, LeBron, Steph, Warriors 9-10 play-in tournament game because it would just. I'm like, are you kidding me? The NBA would love it. All of the hype of a play-in tournament game and it's Steph versus LeBron, one game, winner go home. Like that's what I've been thinking I want because it'll just be great entertainment value. But also like, dude, if one of those teams and maybe the Golden State falls out and we get to watch that Rockets team, that young scrappy Rockets team play a play-in tournament game for their lives, like
it's gonna be like those years when LeBron was in Cleveland and Kobe was in LA. And everybody was like, oh, we need Cleveland and Los Angeles. And then that one year we came so close. And then it was Orlando.
Yeah. Oh, God.
And that's going to be Houston. They're like, well, you guys wanted this, but we're here.
Right. Because wasn't it so much more fun to have Dwight Howard and Jameer Nelson in the finals? Hedo Turkoglu.
Yeah. Like, do you want this
Rashard
last
Lewis.
Mikael Pietrus?
Oh, yeah, baby. Oh,
that was NBA basketball.
What a squad that was. We got to give one more quick shout out to our friends at Coors Light. Then we'll come back to wrap up. I see we got a couple of super chats. We'll get to those. Coors Light, bless their hearts. Whether it's your team stressing you out, hello, hi, it's me. I'm Matt. I'm a Bulls fan. They stress me out every day. Or just life in general. Things can feel chaotic. That's why Coors Light helps you find moments to chill all year long. Oh, my goodness. I'm so excited for spring. I feel like we got cheated out of it. We got the fake spring, and then we got some snowfall yesterday. It's fine because like patio weather is right around the corner.
Yes.
Lawn weather, beach weather, rooftop weather, shorts weather. Don't ask Big Dave because shorts weather's 12 months of the year. But for those of us normal folk who don't walk outside in 20-degree weather in shorts, a cold, refreshing Coors Light on a nice, warm Chicago day. There is nothing better. Oh, that sound. It's so good. When the mountains turn blue, whether it's on this awesome Coors Light cup or on their can or on their bottles, like the ones we got here, right here on the coffee table on our set. When the mountains turn blue, you know that the beer inside is as cold as the Rockies. Coors Light is cold lager, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. When it's time to chill, open a Coors Light. It's the beer I reach for. It's mountain cold refreshment. Crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies. When it's time to chill, Coors Light is the beer I reach for. So get Coors Light delivered directly to your door with Instacart. That's right. You can get Coors Light on Instacart. Go to CoorsLight.com/CHGO basketball. That's CoorsLight.com/CHGO basketball. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Oh, icy cold Rocky refreshment. Icy cold. We have a couple of super chats, Sarah, if I do recall. Oh, look at this. AK, the people's champion. Where you been, AK? Feel like I've missed you the last few post games. Welcome back. What does he have to say? He says, playing the Celtics, who are missing 60% of their starters, is a reality check of just how far this Bulls team is from being contenders. Yeah. Celtics hit 21 threes to the Bulls 9. Math problem ensues. Depressing. # floor is ceiling. Yes, or the ceiling is the roof. Shout out to the Tar Heels. They did get a W today. Yep. I'm sure MJ and Kobe White are happy about that. But yes, I mean, you and I were talking about that at the beginning of the show, Kyle. Like, look, yes, these Celtics were shorthanded, but even still, they hit a bunch of threes. They have the Bulls defense trying to switch and run around and cover and close out like chickens with their heads cut off, and that was the result. The Bulls lose the math problem like they have been doing most of the season.
Yeah, I mean, when your reserves know how to play basketball and can knock down shots, it might sound simple, but having reserves that just understand your play style and like how to generate good looks, it's goes far. And, you know, like he mentioned in the second sentence, it shows how far this Bull team are from being contenders. I would say it even shows how far they are from even being playoff contenders. Like, we forget talking about the top of the top.
Right.
This was for all intents and purposes, the C-level Celtics team.
Right.
No, missing three starters who are all arguably all-star level players.
Right.
And with the ragtag group of the Sam Hausers, do you know what the Bulls would look like if Sam Hauser got regular minutes?
Oh my gosh!
And this is what we always talk about with them is the math problem.
Yeah. And
until they solve that in a meaningful way, you're going to continue. You're fighting an uphill battle from the jump ball.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And that's why I'm like, bless Big Dave's heart. I love the man, and he is as passionate of a Bulls fan as they come. I've known him a long time. That's why people like him and people who share his opinion of like, dude, get your play-in tournament wins, go to the playoffs, play the Celtics in the first round. Hell yeah, I want to see that. I'm like, what's the point? Yeah. You know that they are not just a class above you. They're freaking 5 classes above you. And he's saying, well, it's good for the younger guys on the team. Playoff experience, real game experience. It's a different beast. It's like you need those young guys to get that experience. I was like, you need them to get their asses handed to them in 4 games?
If the mandate from the front office was about development, this was a younger roster, I would agree. But they're going
to sell to us signing an even older DeMar again this offseason.
Yeah, there's no meaningful so the young players are going to continue to progress to get the veteran players to continue. Like, you have a 3-year extension for Vooch. You're going to re-sign DeMar. At that point, this isn't for example, the Orlando Magic. Mm-hmm. They should get into the playoffs. Yeah. Development would be great for them, for Paolo and for Franz. But for the Bulls, who are going to re-sign themselves likely to an aging DeMar, I just don't see the point in that.
No, nor I. AK with a couple other super chats, $4.99 saying, I think Javonte is here because Craig still doesn't look right. Caruso can go down any game, including tonight, briefly. Yeah. Bulls need even more short guards that can play power forward. What did you think? We didn't touch on Torrey Craig yet, Kyle. He had a couple of spot starts while Kobe was out. Yeah. Back to a bench role tonight. He was 3 of 3 from the 3-point line.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I saw Torrey Craig looked fine out there.
He looked okay. I think he has just kind of looked a little bit gimpy since he came back from his injury earlier this season. He's not like an old washed up vet, but I think like he just looks not all the way there physically.
Yeah, which is you get hurt mid-season, come back as an aging player, you're gonna deal with trying to acclimate yourself back to that speed.
Right.
But 3 of 3, he didn't look terrible out there. It's just he's just another one of those guys who's just battling through stuff he probably hasn't told the public yet.
Yeah. And last one from AK saying, I think over the summer, Joker needs to take Vooch with him to Serbia to his horse farm and free his feet. Vooch often has feet stuck in the mud. Yeah, no one has ever showered Vooch with compliments when it comes to his footwork or his flight of foot. I don't know what being on Joker's horse farm would do to address that problem, Kyle.
That one was probably my favorite super chat because they went a lot of different places. And I mean, with Vooch and his feet, I just think that's going to be Vooch going forward.
Yeah.
And I just think no matter what, he's just going to be a subpar defender in that regard.
Yeah. Vooch did have that crafty little spin move down the lane.
Yeah, that was a nice move.
And I was like, did we really just see Vooch pull that move off? He's usually just like up and under, but it's on the defensive end where his footwork is really just a problem. When the Bulls and Billy Donovan can't decide, like, are we playing drop coverage scheme? Are we not? And then Vooch just gets lost in no man's land because he can't move his feet, which is so much fun to watch repetitively for 2 years and counting now. Ooh. Oh, my goodness. Shy Son just throwing us all the way back to a woulda, coulda, shoulda, saying should have never traded Jimmy Butler. He did not want to leave.
Okay, that was one that was so long ago.
It was, you're living multiple lives in the past.
And then 2, that was objectively the right move. They didn't get anything right after that.
No.
But what that move was the right move. Actually taking time to do a rebuild and trading him, right move.
Because if you keep Jimmy and build around Jimmy, and I know Bulls fans might point to Bulls fans who are Jimmy stans, look what he's done with this Miami team. He's taken a couple of different ragtag group of players around him in Miami to finals appearances in 2 of the last 40 years, which is crazy when you think about it. It's insane, but it's Miami. Yeah. It's Pat Riley.
It's the culture there.
It's the culture there. And yes, Jimmy's a part of it. You can't take away from some of these performances he's had in these finals games.
He's been ridiculous.
Whether it be the bubble or just this past summer against Denver. But, like, the Bulls weren't doing that with Jimmy.
Do they have a player that is as good as Bam Adebayo? As impactful on both sides?
To the Bulls?
Yes. Like, on both sides?
No.
Yeah, and so that's a big thing to this, too, that I would say to all the Jimmy stans is, Jimmy has leveled up far better than I ever thought he would be, even here.
Yes.
But, I mean, also just the culture, having Bam Adebayo develop into what he has developed into.
Yes.
It kind of matters. I don't think he was finding that here.
I don't think
Which was
so
kind
either.
of his issue with being here, too.
Yep. Yeah. And, honestly, I was a little bit sick of Jimmy and his prima donna nonsense when he was here in that final year. The 3 Alphas year, I was like, yo, Jimmy. AK threw us one more super chat. Appreciate you, AK, saying, Matt, I was stuck in Florida for work, but I'm now back and supporting the channel. We appreciate you, AK. We love you, buddy. Welcome back. I'm glad you made it safely back from Florida, a.k.a. Satan's butthole. Never go there again. It's a dangerous, wild place. Stay in Chicago where you're safe. That is it. We are out of time for tonight. Everybody, one more reminder. Read our guy, Will the Goat's coverage. AllCHGO.com is where you can find it. Follow him, Will_Gottlieb. Shout out and appreciation to our dear friend Sarah for filling in for Joey on the controls tonight. Always a pleasure, Sarah.
I missed you guys.
You should come hang out with the night crew.
I know.
You're running out of chances.
I know.
11 to go. 11.
Yeah, I don't love these night shows, but it's okay.
Potentially plus more.
Yeah.
Potentially plus more.
Yeah. At least 11. Hopefully no more than 13.
I wish you guys played at like 5 o'clock or something.
Would be nice.
That would be nice.
It would be nice.
No, when I was in Arizona, games started at 5 o'clock.
Oh, man.
It was kind of nice.
That is nice. Yeah.
What I wasn't like a fan of when I lived in LA briefly was those 10 a.m. kickoffs for Bears games.
Oh, yeah.
In football season. On Sundays, when that Saturday night, I lived in LA in my early and mid 20s. I was out late on Saturday nights. And my alarm would go off at 9:30. Be like, yo, kick off in a half hour.
Having to set an alarm for a noon, like that sounds insane. Oh my God.
Yeah. And of course, last but definitely not least, huge appreciation and thanks, shout outs, and a follow, K_Williams Media. Kyle, our guy. Former CHGO contributor / intern, whatever.
A lot of things. Yeah.
A lot of things.
Event planner, helper.
Wore so many hats with us. We appreciated it. We miss you being around here, but we are so proud of you.
Appreciate that.
Way to get that degree. Way to get that gig at Chicago Sun-Times.
Yeah.
Breathing down Joe Cowley's neck for that Bulls beat reporter job. any day now. And of course, also check out the great work he's doing over at The Ringer, producing some stuff for their podcasts, including Full Go with our friend Jason Goff. Kyle, appreciate you, man. Always
appreciate you having me on.
Follow
being with you guys.
Our guy Kyle, K_Williams Media. Read his stuff for the Sun Times. Check him out on The Ringer. We are off tomorrow, Bulls Nation. The Bulls are off tomorrow. They are back in action Monday night when they are playing the Wizards yet again. So maybe they can take one step closer to not being quite 500. And the merry-go goes round. We will be here for a pregame 6:30 Central Time Monday night. Until then, have a great rest of your weekend. Stay safe. Be well. Much love. See you, Red. Be good.
We all silly like the mayor.